Tell me,
All right. Well, as you can see, Benny, I'm in my car. I was hoping to be a little further. I was just at BBB at head office, and I thought I'd be a little further south down the road. So I'm going to pull over here in a second, but I want to get this call started here with you. It's good having you back again, brother. Let's start there.
thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
We're doing our rounds. We're talking to all the participants that have been promoted to board consultant and senior national consultant at NatCon, and it's either next week or the week after. I got Danny Giannone joining, so just a lot of really good things going on. And you're one of those unique guys. I love getting your perspective because in my eyes, you're the most intense guy in the business, and I would just love your intensity to rub off on everybody, myself included. And so to prime the pump, I want to start with this, Benny, and this might be interesting. I don't know if anybody's asked you this before. John gave us his side of the story at NatCon on how you guys met. And you're this guy who, you know, obviously successful in mixed martial arts. You're about to school him, about to train him, and you guys started this relationship. The part that I didn't hear was what was going through your mind in the beginning stages of this relationship with John. What was your encounter like? I mean, how was your like did and maybe the follow up to that is like, did you end up kind of recruiting yourself into the business, or was it all John kind of giving you a pitch? Just kind of walk us through the beginnings of you and John from your lens.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get there. All right, so it was weird because he would tell when I'm with somebody, I care about them. I'm trying to get them to the next level, whatever I can do. Like my ex girlfriend fights right now because the only thing I can give people is what I know, and she shouldn't be fighting. She's kind of not a girl that should fight. She's pretty, but if you hang around with me, you're what do you call it? I would convince you what I do. It's like I don't know why. I just have that. And I did it to my son. My son said, whatever you would have done, Dad, I would have done the same thing. Like I just do what you do. Because anybody that's around me, I don't know why. I just say, hey, you should do this. And I'll give them the reasons why. And John came into my life and I wanted to be healthier. He was really bad. Like John was bad. I am not lying. He was the worst person I ever trained to end up becoming the best person I ever trained. If you told me athlete, anything, all athlete, like I trained with Henry Cejudo, you name it, all champions, wrestling champions, any kind of person, athlete in MMA or wrestling in Phoenix I train with, John has the most grit of everybody. I think John, whatever he does and put his money into, he'll be successful. John doesn't. He says what he does, and he shows up. Even if he doesn't want to, he'll show up and do his best, and that's all you can get. And I remember coming the first day he came in. I was like, this is because a lot of guys go in there and say, I want to be a fighter, and I'm like, all right, bro. And it is you hear this over and over. A lot of people are like, I want to be a consultant. You're like, all right. And I remember wrapping his hands, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna give him a good workout today. He's not gonna come back tomorrow. And John came back the next day. They came back the next day, and then I just cared about him. I wanted him to get better. I wanted him to be healthy. So I'll push him to another levels that he didn't like. He'll come to my house and we'll go run. And it was funny because when we'll go run, he was like, "So what do you want to do after fighting?" And I'm like, I don't know why in my head I didn't believe fighting was ever going to be over. I don't know why. I just didn't see it yet. And he was like, "So what are you gonna do after your life?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he was just telling me. I remember he told me about sales. I remember we were at the beach one time. He's like, "You know that house, that guy that lives in that house?" Yeah, he goes, he sells toilet paper. I was like, all right. And then the guy next to him sells toothpicks. And I'm like, all right. He goes, everything is sales, Benny. He was just telling me about sales. I remember him telling me a lot about sales. And I remember I didn't like sales because to me, salespeople were like the creepy ones. You know, those people that don't leave you alone, just push something to you and you don't want it. That's what I felt like. And I'm like, well, I don't like salespeople. And in my head, I didn't like it. And I remember he was like, he started explaining to me, and then I saw he says, I'm a salesperson. And John's really honest and has good values. He's a hard worker. And he goes, but sales, our business is different. It's just the law of averages, Benny. And he just kept telling me this all the time. And one day he was like curious. He was really curious. He goes, do you know, I don't know if he read it in somewhere, a journal, or I don't know where he got the information, but he says, do you know 98% of athletes go bankrupt? He said Mike Tyson made $300 million and he went bankrupt. He ended up owing the government 26 million. And I kind of know Mike Tyson personally, so I was like, I remember Mike Tyson was having a tough time. And I'm like, oh shit. And he goes, so the ones that don't, the 2% coming from a wealthy family, it's because their family kind of tells them what to do, and they help them out with their financials. But people that come from nowhere, like where you come from, don't know how to invest your money and do good. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And then he told me, one of these days you come and work for me. If you work for me, your rookie year, you'll make 120,000, 125,000. And then he said, if you stick with it 5 or 6 years, you could be a millionaire. And I was like, 100,000 fighting. If I made like in a fight, I made like 200,000, but take away taxes right out. And fighting is 50%, and then take away 10% from your 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 uh your 10% for your manager, 10% for the gym and your coaches. You end up not having that much money, but you fight 3 times where people think we make a lot of money, but you don't make that much money. Fighters don't make that much money. And before, the sponsors used to make us a lot of money, but they took the sponsors away. So I was hearing what he said, and I'm like, millions of dollars. He goes, you can make millions. You can live as much how I live. And I remember just like, yeah, whatever. I wasn't taking it serious. And then one time we were done boxing, and he goes, let's go get some books for my daughter. We went to the bookstore, and I went with him, and I remember he was like, I don't know what he asked me, and I didn't want to tell him I didn't know how to read. And he goes, hey, how about this book? And I just said something. I remember he said, and then he got in the truck, and he goes, do you know how to read? And I was like, no. And he goes, okay. And then he goes, I'm going to show you how. And then I was like, what? And every day we went to the gym for 2 hours. When we get out of the gym, he'll go to his truck and he'll read a book with me every day until I got really good at it. But that's what showed me that I was like, all right, I got to follow this guy. This guy has everything I want. He had a nice house, a beautiful wife. He has good values. People liked him. So I'm like, well, I want his life. And he told me he can get me to where he's at. And then we'll worry about the rest later. And that's why I think that's where the relationship started. I helped him and he helped me and he made me believe. That kind of answer your question, Jamie?
Well, yeah, it does. I mean, I'm just trying to go back in time. I mean, it is very intriguing because even at the promoting owners meeting, John's talking about, there's another guy he's been, I guess the proper word to use would be courting. He's recruiting another person. But one thing I know about John is he's always been a really good eye for talent. I mean, that's something I learned early on when I first started getting to know John, is that he picks the right ponies. He looks for guys with, great character. He looks for guys that, have good heart. And so it doesn't surprise me. I just parked the car right now. It doesn't surprise me that he pitched you, I guess. He recruited you, but he knew darn well that you had the right DNA to be successful at anything you put your mind to. I mean, so yeah, I mean, interesting. I just didn't know if it was more you asking him questions, but it's interesting. He sized you up, and then he really started talking big picture what sales could do for your life. You had a preconceived idea that salespeople are these pushy guys that never know how to take no. I don't want anything to do with them. I'm not a
Yeah.
salesperson myself, but he certainly changed your paradigm of how you looked at sales.
Really bad. Yeah. But he'll tell me everybody sells himself. You're selling yourself right now. And I'm like, your fights, the only reason the stadiums are packed because you sell yourself. You have a good personality, everybody likes you. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
dentists, they're not good. They're good dentists, but they don't sell themselves. Then nobody's gonna go to the dentist, lawyers, all that. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And then how was the field like? Was it when you went to the field? Was it like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought, or is it like, man, this is just as bad as I thought it was going to be? Like, what was it like?
So they tricked me. John didn't tell me nothing. He just told me that the money wise, and he goes, go in there and interview. And I went to an office and they interviewed me exactly like I interview everybody. And I came in and I remember the guy told me, bring some shorts and some shoes. And I was like, okay. And then he gave me a polo and he just took me here. It's Awatuki. It's like 45 minutes, but with traffic, you're looking at like an hour and a half. And I drove in this in traffic with him. It was hot. And then we get to this neighborhood. And then he puts the sunrise, the sun, what do you call it? The sun, the car won't hit the sun. What do you call it? Sunrisers, whatever, the sun, because the sun won't hit the car. He puts it up and he goes, all right, let's get off. And I'm like, where are we going? And then he starts walk. He goes, we're gonna go to some clients' houses. So he went to the doors that he knocked that were like, come back tomorrow when my husband's here, or come back at this time, or whatever it is. So we went into callbacks, they call them. So we went to their doors and they were like, oh no, well, he don't want it no more. And we went to a couple and then we just started walking to doors. And I'm like, we're doing this. We're walking door to door. And I don't know. I just like I was already there. Like, I don't know, like I'm already doing it. I already closed my back door. I'm doing this. Like John says he's gonna get me there. And I had blind faith, I guess you can say. I just said, let's do it. And I remember anything in life, I do this. If I'm gonna say something, I'm like, if I told you guys I was gonna wrestle, I'm just gonna do the whole. I'm gonna go all the way. Why go half-ass? When I became a world champion, I did the same thing. I was like, I'm trying to go all the way. Now I can go farther. I just didn't go that far because I didn't have the right tools, maybe. Uh, but in this business too, I'm trying to go all the way. I'm trying to go where John's at. Uh, if I'm here, I got to go all the way. A lot of people always trying to do side business and do this. I just want to do this and if I'm going to do a side business, my intent is not here. I make good money and it's not worth me doing anything else.
Hmm.
So I guess blind faith, when I don't know, I put myself, I just see so many people in the world always in and out. And I don't like living like that.
Yeah, you're a highly committed guy. I mean, what do you credit that to? How are you, like, again, when you decide you're going to do something? So here you are on your first day, a little bit of shock and awe treatment. You're like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm going to do. But hey, I've already committed to it. Now, most people don't have that kind of story. Most people would see it. Oh, I don't like it, and they, hey, can you take me back? They'd bow out. It's not for me. But what makes you like that, Benny? Why are you the guy that can commit and follow through when it's really difficult?
Um, yeah, when people say difficult, like I don't see difficult in life. Like maybe because I like difficult for other people and difficult for me is completely different. But to me, I see life like learning curves. Like people say, oh, it's like waves up and down. I don't see life like that. It's like everybody I was just, you never had a bad year or a bad week. I'm like, no, I never had a bad week. Like they're like, no. And I was like, no, I don't like business has never been bad. It's been good. My business, thank God, or if there is like that, I've never had a bad year. Like, thank God. Some people say they have bad years, but I just know that there's times like when I didn't know sales, I was like I was here. And there was something I had to learn that I didn't know how to. Once I learned it, it took me like 3 or 4 days. I got great at sales. And then I shot up and then I started building a team. I sucked. So I hit like a plateau. And then I was at the plateau and I remember I was trying to learn how to build a team. What do you have to do? And then once I learned, I shot up in the air again. It was like a slingshot. And then I got to assistant manager. I was the shittiest assistant manager. I was really bad as assistant manager. But then I became the best assistant manager. I learned what I was supposed to learn. I think in life, you just have like where you at. You got to learn while you're there and figure out how to get out of there. People just get stuck and the, what do you call the life of, what do you call when you're turning and the mouse is going round and round. What is it?
Hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel. And I, people always say this. What's the definition of what is it? Insanity. And they said doing something over and over and getting the same results. Like I'm like, well, if I get hurt one time, I'm not gonna do it that way again. I gotta change it. And that is so when people say what's difficult or Benny, like I don't see life difficult. And maybe my difficult because I've been through a lot, I guess, and I'm not a victim. I think I always had everything I had in life for that same reason, because it can always be worse.
Yeah.
And life right now is like great. It's always been great. Like they're like, Betty, this is gonna be your best year. I just laugh. No, there's more coming. They're like, no, this is your year. No, it's not. Every year is my year because I do the right shit all the time. So I'm supposed to get all the cool shit. Sorry.
That's good. I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to turn it over to these guys because I feel like I hogged you too much last time. But just kind of big picture stuff. I mean, I don't know if you closed on it yet, but you're showing me the home you were shopping for. I mean, beautiful home. I believe it, new, built in 2021 or something like that. And, nice neighborhood. Like you're really living a blessed life right now. Anybody watching you on Instagram, we see you're watching your Ferrari more than your face, Benny. So I feel like I know your car intimately. How are you feeling? I just want to know how are you feeling about where you're at right now?
Well, yeah, it's not the house, but John, yeah, like I'm like grateful for John and Gary Polson and you and all the guys that gave me, like you guys give me time. So I am grateful. I'm like humble. And I know because of John, I would not have the life I have. Everybody's like, yeah, you would have. No, he gave me this opportunity, show me it. And he walks me down the right path. He just tells me what to do and I do it. And John would tell you, he tells me what to do. And if I do it wrong, I just blame it on him. And he's like, what? He goes, yeah, he's making me buy a $4.5 million home. We closed on it today, Jamie. We just closed on it. We're moving in today.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
you'll see it on Instagram. I'm just playing. So it's a beautiful home, but like he told me, buy this home. And I'm like, you sure? I was scared. I was like, John, that's a lot of money. He's like, you got it. You can make it. He did the math already. He knows what to do. And I remember I told him one time, you sure? He goes, yeah. And I don't look back. I just do it. So if something happens in a year or so that I can't, I'm gonna look to him and be like, dude, you told me to buy this house. And he'll figure it out. He'll be like, all right, let's do this. You're doing this wrong. You're doing this right. You gotta do this. You gotta fix it. So I always look for mentors like you, Jamie, or people that I can trust and I know where they're gonna get me. Like I don't second guess you, Jamie. If you tell me to do something, I don't second guess. I just do it. And I just want the results. And John does the same thing. He knows that whatever he tells me to do, I'm going to do it. Even if I don't feel comfortable, I don't like it, it's not my way. If he tells me stop stressing about it, I'll stop stressing. And I have a couple people. I got Gary Poston. I got one of my friends named Doc. I got Dave that I listen to, and I got Dan, you. I got a couple people that Gary posted that just tell me what to do, and I just change the mindset. I don't care how I feel inside. If I doubt it, if I'm scared, I just put the scare on them. I'm like, all right, they're telling me to do this. And usually when you tell people, I'm gonna do what you tell me to do, they will watch what they tell you because they don't want to hurt you. Nobody wants to hurt nobody.
Hmm.
And sometimes John would tell me something, I misunderstood it, and he just tells me, no, I didn't tell you that. You just got to do it this way, and we just fix it. So I just look for mentors that can get me where I want to be.
Yeah, maybe one of the most underrated characteristics of you, Benny, is you really are a great student that executes direction. So
Everybody, all my friends used to hate because I was the teacher's coach, the teacher's pet. What do they call them? Teachers? What do you call it? When
teachers.
the teacher yeah, they always liked me because I always try my best. Like when the coach would say, "All right, guys, this is the move," and then he'd be like, "Break," and then he goes, "Anybody has questions?" And then he'll look at me because I know how to question. Yes, I do, coach. And he goes like, "What?" He said, "I saw your left foot turn to pivot that way." Yes, you guys got to pivot. And he knew that I want to know, why are you doing that? Why are you putting your hand on the knee? Why are you pivoting? Why, how is it easy to lift them? What part of your hips? What are you using? That's why I got so good, because I just listened to him and I pay attention and asked the questions I need to ask, and I got the results. I was always the first one there, the last one to leave. So I got the attention. So John, I'm always like, if he doesn't coach me one day, I go to his house. I'll go sit in his front porch and be like, "What are you doing, John? Let's go run." John, I have to talk to him. I have to be with him 2 or 3 days out of the week. Now, everybody had that in Arizona. You don't know how many owners live here? Nobody will go see John. I go with Garrett Poston. I go and bug him once a month. I go sit at his house. He has a house that he made in the back, and I tell him that's my room. I said I only share with Jack and me. He just laughed. But like, I want to see him. I want to hear what he says. He goes, "What do I teach you?" I was like, "You're doing something today. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna do better." I remember he has this emotional tree. Now me and Joe have this. The house in our apartment we have it, a condo we have it, but in our house we already have a place where it's called the emotional. So when we fight, we got to go up there and sit there and talk about it. And I got that from Gary. Gary and his niece were arguing. He went and sat down. They talked about it, and they came back hugging. I'm like, I need a emotional tree. I need to get that. So when you just learn from them, you learn how to treat his granddaughters. You learn how to care about more people than I thought I cared about people, but these guys care about people completely different, like way more. Like Gary Poston, Jim Majeski, like Jim Majeski came to my son's promotion. He was crying, and I'm sitting in the back. I'm like, I know you saw this promotions, the hundreds of. He goes, it's not. It never gets old, Benny. He goes, I help people get homes, hundreds of people. And he helped me. He had something to do, him, John, were in it, and they were telling me this house is good, this is what you should ask for. They're in it with me. They're like mixing it up, like asking, hey, ask for this, Benny, send me the contract. And I'm like, why are you doing this? He says, I don't know. You just feel like you want to learn. I'm helping you. But I think you guys are. This business is beautiful because of you guys. And I just want to be like that.
It's pretty raw, very humbling. Any questions here, gentlemen? I know Benny's he's a unique character in our company.
Benny, what? Let me ask you this, because I'm like that too. I think I got that student mentality of like, all right, tell me what to do, coach, and I'm gonna do it. But what do you do for your guys on your crew that you're coaching that aren't like that?
But it's so fucking cool. Sorry about the bad word, Jimmy. It's so cool because they see you be a student. All my guys are my students. I don't argue with none of them
Mm-hmm.
because they see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing how to act. You're showing to be humble and respectful. When John comes in my office, I am not talking. It's John's office. And they like look at me like they see me when John tells me, "Hey Benny, you should run this. This is the way you're gonna run your office." And I'm like, "Okay, John." And we do everything John's saying. And the next day he comes in and goes, "Why are you doing that for?" It's John, you told me to do it. He goes, "No, I didn't." And everybody just saw that he told me to do it the day before, and I just switch it back to what he wants. And they're like, this guy just listens to it. So I get that. I don't have no, like, everybody just trusts me because I trust John, I trust Gary, and I trust Jamie Hebb, and I trust my mentors. You tell me what to do, I'm there. So you're showing a good example. And by you showing the example, that's all it takes. I promise. You are the best student. Your guys will be the best student too. I see other consultants, the guys, they'll talk about their consultant, and then I see that their guys talking about their. I'm like, I wonder why. You're like saying. I remember when I walked in. I remember I walked in the business. Everybody was like, don't listen to John. He hasn't been doing, he hasn't ran the office for 20 years or 25 years. I was like, what? Like, that's all I heard. I was like, what?
Hmm.
Like, John can tell me what's going to happen in my office tomorrow. I'm like, this dude's a psychic. Like, he'll tell me things that I'm like, 6 months. I'm like, oh, that's what John meant. 6 months later, he
Yeah.
just, Jamie Hibb is the same way. I guarantee you, he'll tell you what's going to happen in your office in 2 years from now. It's just rinse and repeat. This job has a pattern. You can see it. To answer your question,
Yeah.
I bet you see it in your guys, the ones that listen. If you listen to Jamie Hibb, your guys listen to you because they just see you're a student.
Yeah.
Am I correct or no?
No, you're 100%. You're right. And it's the right ones. And I think essentially what I need to do is like, if they're not, they're not the right people on the crew, I think, but I think the right ones always fall in line. They always do what you do. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, just like I was a team captain all my life, and whatever I did, my guys would do. If I come in late, everybody will come in late.
Mhm.
And if I didn't respect my coach, so I had two coaches, and I had one coach that I couldn't stand. I hope he's not hearing this ever, but here. And then I had another coach. His name's Tom Ortiz, one of the best coaches ever. I owe him everything too, and he used to tell me what to do. I'll do it. And I had this coach, and I hated him. And he'll come in and he'd be like, "Hey, Benny, we're gonna go wrestle. This is pay attention." And he didn't know what he was talking about. His coaching was fucking way off. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? When he came, I used to get mad. And then Tom Ortiz will come. And Tom Ortiz, look at me, Benny. This is how you feel. This is how it feels. Yes, you get all your emotions, you grab them and you tie them up and you go out there and win. And when you come back out, we'll cry together. And I'm like, oh, that's how I feel. But my coach was a 4-time state champion, a 2-time world champion wrestling. So he know how I felt. The other guy watched videos and he just talked off his ass. He just watched videos and he's never wrestled. He didn't know how I felt. He tried to act like he felt like, no, I go to the field and my guys know I'm in the field. I know how you feel right now. But I get over it. I pitch people. I get a new guy. I talk to him. I talk to him in front of them. I develop them in front of them so they can see how I'm doing it. I'm doing it with them still. I'm not letting them do it. Go build your own crew. Go do your own. No, I go and I show them how to build a crew. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So your example gets everything. Steve, what'd you need, my man?
So I was wondering, Benny, how do you know what to ask? Like sometimes I feel like I'm in a place where it's like, hey, I know what I'm working on. I got to go do this. And as a result, my student mentality sometimes kind of sucks. I'm not proactive with questions once I have that idea of what to do. So how do you keep coming up with questions? What makes you keep digging past that?
So I think Jamie, tell me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but I think you, John, and like John Black, and you guys been in the business so long, and you guys know the business. So when you ask them a question, you don't know how to say it, they'll like catch on to it and they'll tell you what you like. John gets my question, mine comes out like so weird. I'm trying to tell him how I feel, and he grabs it, and then he just grabs it and says, "All right, this is what you got to do." So I think Jamie, like if you're with Jamie, just tell Jamie what side you like. I'm struggling in recruiting. All right, this is what I do. This is how I get my recruiting because our job's really simple. Like there's not like it's not AT&T. We're not corporate. We're like just a sales office. We're like I tell everybody when I hire them, I tell everybody this. We're like Wolf of Wall Street, the same energy, but we don't do drugs. We have good values, and we work for AT&T. He said that's all. But we're just like that. We have everybody has Rolex. We're having fun. We're enjoying life. This is Wolf of Wall Street. And everybody's like, I want to be here. I was like, well, this is it. There's nothing crazy. We're just yelling and having fun and going out there and doing sales and making a shitload of money. That's it. Like, there's nothing crazy about it. What are you missing? Recruiting, developing people. That's our business. What else? What are we doing? The sales, like everybody always says, do you compete with nobody? I don't compete with nobody. I don't like competing. I just do my best. Every day I like do my best and I sleep good. I just like, yeah, I did my best. Whatever numbers I'm at, wherever I'm at, how many people are promoted, it does not affect me. I just do my best. And you know when you do your best. All of us know. Like I used to tell Jolene, she'd be like, Benny, she'll tell me, hey, am I at my best? I was like, I don't know. Are you? Like, you're the only one that knows if you're at your best. And then sometimes, like, there's days that were like, damn, Joe, I had more and I fucking bullshitted. I had a little bit more. Like, I should have pushed a little bit more. That pisses me off. I don't want to have those days. I'll give you guys a great example why I never did it. Gary Poston told Jim Majestic told me these values that I always say them, but there's one that's in there that stuck to me when I was a kid. Is do everything 110%, don't do it at all. And I remember when I wrestled, I was really good. And now I was a senior, I was the best one. I knew I could beat everybody. I didn't even train. I did. I would train, but I remember that week I had a girl, a couple girls, and I was like into the girls, and I never let nothing affect me. Like whatever I do, nothing affects me. No women, nothing affects me. I never done drugs or nothing like that. Like when I'm committed to something, nothing will off track me. But I remember girls were coming around, and I started having fun with them. And I remember to cut weight. If I had I'm just giving you different numbers. But if I had to cut 20 pounds from Monday to Saturday, I had to cut 20 pounds. If I mess that up, I'm gonna be off the scale. I'm gonna be like heavy. But I knew what to do. I know where my sweats, I had to be sweating, like my pants had to be sweat, how much sweat I drop, how many pounds I drop a day. I knew all of it. I had a calculator. Well, anyways, I went out with this girl a couple of times. I went out Sunday, and then I didn't go to sleep until like 5 in the morning. And then I didn't go. I went Monday with her too, and I didn't train. And then I went Tuesday night, and I went to sleep like until 3, and I trained a little bit. I did cut a little bit of weight, but now I only have 3 days to cut these 20 pounds. And I cut them, and I remember I went out there to wrestle, and I beat a lot of the guys. And then I had one guy who was a freshman. I was a senior, and I saw my bracket. I was like, I'm gonna beat this guy, and I underestimated him badly. And I went over there, and he teched me. Tech means that I didn't even score once, and I was so mad at myself. I've never been mad like that. And I remember they gave me the second place ribbon, and I grabbed it and I threw it. And everybody's like, what a sore loser. And I was so mad at myself. I still remember I was grabbing my face and I was so irritated because I didn't do my 110%. If the dude beats me, he beat me because he's a better fucking person. But if you beat me because I'm just lazy and I didn't do what I was supposed to do and be disciplined, then it's me. I fucked up. And I used to get so mad. And I remember I didn't like that feeling that I never did it again. I didn't want to be around girls. I didn't want to like get me out of my rhythm. When a girl would come in and she would try to date me, she got me out of my rhythm. I was gone. Even when I was fighting, with everything I did, if they messed my rhythm up, they got to get out of my life. Because I'm so disciplined. I know what I want so much.
Like I said, Benny, you're a special guy. I enjoy listening to your stories. You are the most intense man in our business, Benny.
I don't know if that's a compliment, but I love you.
Oh, it's a compliment. You're intense. You're intentional. You're a great student. I mean, you check a lot of boxes of all the characteristics we want in our guys, and obviously you need a lot of trust to, like, when John tells you to jump, you say how high, and maybe that's something we can all work on with our guys too. That build that level of trust that they're willing to take the marching orders from us the way you're willing to take them as a student. So certainly one of the takeaways we can take from this. So
But
we appreciate it, Benny.
you're a good mentor. You don't have nothing to do with me, and you always help me. So I can imagine everybody else. They gotta love you because you help everybody for no reason. I really thank you for that.
Well, listen, you're just a pleasure to be around. You're a breath of fresh air in many ways, Benny. So it's one of those, like a candle lighting another candle doesn't take away any energy from the candle. I mean, I kind of look at you like that. Like I get something every time I listen to you. No question about it.
I just want to go with Patrick Ben Davis. Remember that.
Yeah, you'll meet him. You'll meet him here soon enough. He would love you, Benny. Pat would love you.
All right.
Maybe he'll get you on stage. Maybe instead of The Rock next year, he'll interview
Yeah,
Ben Madrid.
All right, guys. Well, thank you
All
guys for
right.
everything.
Have a good one, guys.
If
Thanks,
you guys
Danny.
need anything, let me know.